And here is a last game. I repositioned my microphone a little bit because I was feeling that it was a little bit too far away because my voice was sounding... The volume of my voice was very low in the last replay, in the last video I did, even in the last couple of videos I did, and I didn't really catch on to it. And I assume the reason was because my microphone was simply too far away from my mouth. So I moved a little bit closer, and I hope the sound will be a little bit better this time around. And yeah, that's that. Let's get into the match that is happening. So we have TopToon. Sorry, excuse me. TopToon, who's playing the orange Protoss, spot number 12, up against yangchigisonyun, also known as Toki, who will I will refer to him as Toki. And he's playing the blue Protoss on spot number 11. So we have ourselves a nice little Protoss versus Protoss going on, the PvP. And PvP is always, in my opinion, it always comes down to, I mean, not always, but in most cases it comes down to who picks the best build into whatever the opponent is doing. And TopToon starts off with 2 gateways right after 8-9 pylon, followed by an assimilator and another pylon. Whereas Toki decides to go for the Nexus first, followed up by a gateway and a gateway. So TopToon will have units out before Toki has his units out. There's a Zealot being produced, and it will finish about the same time when... Yeah, it will finish about the same time when Toki's first gateway finishes. But luckily for Toki, TopToon scouted the wrong way. Although now TopToon should know that Toki is at least on the left side of the map, most likely on spot number 11 or 10. There he sends his Zealot to spot number 11. And Toki here trying to harass TopToon's probes with his probe. And get a little bit of damage down. A little bit of damage. There's going to do a little bit of more damage. Might even be able to take down a probe. He even takes down a probe with his probe and pulls his probe back to his own base. And meanwhile, at the same time, TopToon is now harassing Toki's probes. And a single probe goes down, another probe gets saved. And the Zealot takes a lot of damage from another Zealot. And it takes down a second probe before it even dies. Hulking around a little bit more. And TopToon decides to do a little bit more damage to the probe. But the probe survives on a single hit left. There is now a cannon that has been finished inside of Toki's base, right next to a cybernetic core and his forge. A third gateway being thrown down, and TopToon also has already has a cybernetic core finished. Actually, is mining from 2 gas, so it looks like Toki will have a huge economic advantage if this game does drag on. And he has not started cybernetics. He's not started his Dragoon range upgrade. You know, there's a little bit of fighting going on between the Zealots. Looks like Toki has the advantage there. Although his Zealots are all outside of his base. There are no Zealots inside of his base. Both are still being produced. And the cannon will take a lot of damage. But it won't die. The Zealots will die before the cannon can die instead. He micros his Zealot around the cannon, but it dies. Although he does get the maximum amount of damage out on that cannon. And the same happens in Toki's base, but TopToon already having 4 Dragoons out, makes short work of that Zealot that is trying to harass him, and he sends his Dragoons out onto the map, scouting the middle section, looking for more Zealots. He finds 2 Zealots, chases the Zealots down. Toki sends them away to spot number 7. But TopToon wants none of that and immediately sends them over to Toki's base, where Toki has finished a Citadel of Adun, started a Templars Archive, made more Zealots, and has 2 cannons added to his base. And there are 2 more gateways, so 5 gateways in total. And we can see that Toki has a huge economic advantage over TopToon now, because Toki went for a single gas and even an extra Nexus, so he should be on at least 10 to 12 probes more TopToon. And TopToon, although, is using his Dragoons to the maximum, taking a little bit of damage on his Dragoons, but very carefully and smartly microing his Dragoons backwards with pretty good control, and slowly killing a couple of Toki's Zealots. But Toki, on the other hand, has taken, I think, about 2 or 3, maybe even 4 probes inside of TopToon's base, slowing his economy down even more. And TopToon, in the meantime, has started producing observers after seeing a Templar's archive, and it means that Toki can no longer go for Dark Templars because those observers will be out. So it means that I'm kind of curious to see what Toki will do here. But even though Toki has a huge economic advantage and the ability to have way more units out within the next couple of minutes, because TopToon was stuck on a 2 gateway pump, although now he almost has 5 gateways finished. He has 4 finished and almost has a 5th one finished. Should just take about another 30 seconds before that one's finished and able to produce Dragoons. Toki has Zealot lags finished and Dragoon range being produced. He pulls his Zealots back into the corner of his base, and he's gonna try to go for a surround on these Dragoons, but he thinks he doesn't have enough units just yet. And there he goes. He thinks he has enough units. He sends his units in for a pincer move and locks the Dragoons inside of his base, although he overshoots it a little bit with his Zealots. And there he goes. He now goes and forces the Dragoons into the corner. The Dragoons will have nowhere left to go, and that means TopToon will just have to forsake them, pretty much. And that's a huge pickup for Toki, because he's already at a lead. And TopToon being in a position where he cannot afford to lose any units without getting anything out of them. And that might just be the play there, that might just be the move, the event, that propels Toki ahead of TopToon. Like, if you have a bigger economy, you can afford to lose some units. And whenever you go for a very small economy build, you cannot afford to lose a single unit and make it go wasted. Like, you have to get something out of using your units. And TopToon basically just had a huge loss there. So now we're going to see TopToon forced into a corner, and he will have to rely on his Shuttle Reaver micro in order to make a comeback here. And actually his Reaver does do a little bit of damage. It doesn't get any kills, but it does lower the Zealots to quite a significantly low HP. Observer there, hanging there, just getting information. And Toki is now already 40 Psi ahead of TopToon, but it's mostly Psi that is in probes. There he goes. Drops the Reavers in front of his units and gets a couple of shots off on the Zealots of Toki. And Toki, I think he lost about 4 Zealots there. And he now going to fly around while he pushed those Zealots away. So now it's a nice clear path to fly into Toki's base with. But Toki already put down cannons on his corner and has a couple of Dragoons there ready to intercept. It all depends whether Toki will even notice it. And the shuttle gets some damage, but it doesn't die. It flies in all the way, and both Reavers get out. And will he get them? Will he get them? Will he get them? Does he? No, he doesn't get them. It's a Dutch. And the second one does get a bunch of Toki's probes. I think at least 20 probes in total of Toki died there, which should be about the entire advantage in probe count that Toki had on his minerals over TopToon. But given that they're now on equal income, and Toki is still ahead in his entire mass, and I think there are no upgrades on their units yet, although he almost has weapon upgrade finished. TopToon here does have the advantage in having a Reaver in the back of his units, and Toki being forced to go through a pretty small choke. While TopToon's units are all spread out, TopToon fights it off really easily, and Toki realizes that he cannot push that in, and he pulls himself back into his base. TopToon in the meantime just happily camping inside his base, waiting for his next drop. Maybe he's going for a frontal attack. No, he's going for a drop as he loads into Distraction Zealots, although one of the Distraction Zealots is on quite low HP. So it might not even be able to fly in all the way with all of these Dragoons on the edges of Toki's base. Toki now has a shuttle out, and there is also a Templar out. He also has his Storm upgrade finished from earlier, and now TopToon is starting his Storm upgrade, and his Zealot legs are about to finish. He's going to go for a big frontal attack, while simultaneously trying to fly this drop in from the side. This frontal attack should force all of Toki's units away from the sides to his front. Although he's keeping his units there in the corner. Now the Zealots are fighting against Zealots, and the Zealots are also fighting against Dragoons. There comes the Storm, so Toki is not going to use the Templar for the Storm drop. And Toki doesn't notice the drop flying in on the side. The drop flies in all the way. Does the Reaver get a significant shut off? The Reaver gets a shut off. The Reaver Scarab does not get in. And there is actually a drop that happened just now inside of TopToon's base. And he killed 33 of TopToon's probes, and now the Templar does eventually die. TopToon now has, and there is another Templar inside the shuttle, and it storms, even gets 2 storms off, kills all the remaining probes of TopToon, and TopToon now feeling the results of only having a single Nexus. There's absolutely no way of coming back from that drop. He realizes it, calls the DG, leaves the game, and I'm pretty sure Toki flew around from this side. Actually, I'm going to repeat that a little bit just to get an exact eye on how he flew his drop in. I'm sorry for missing that earlier though. There was just focusing on the wrong things, I guess. The drop had already flown around by this point, and while the fighting was happening, he just hangs it there for a little while. He waits for TopToon to commit to the attack. Actually, no, he doesn't even wait. He just flies in while TopToon attacks. It happened at the start of TopToon's attack. TopToon wasn't even watching. And there is the Storm. He gets 33. He gets 2 storms off on the exact same spot. So that was the second one was a misclick. It had to be. And now he's just going to pretend there are no more Templars in there. Oh, it doesn't even matter because TopToon has 50 minerals. And most of his mass is going to die here inside of TopToon's space. In Toki's space, because Toki has weapon upgrade, whereas TopToon did not. That makes a huge difference. There's 2 extra damage on every single Dragoon shot. Toki here pulls his units back a little bit further into his base. TopToon must have realized by now that, oh god, I just lost all of my probes. And he puts them back on, and he loses the rest of his probes. He has 2 probes left, mining gas. There's another probe there standing next to the observatory. Another probe standing in his base. And here he loses all of his units to the +1 weapon upgrades on the Dragoons. The Reaver didn't even make a difference. And TopToon loses the game. I imagine that if TopToon had, even if TopToon had hit this drop from TopToon here, if it had even hit any probes at all, he would still have lost the game very hard. Because he only had 51 minerals there. So he could have hit Toki for all of his probes at this point. And he would still have lost because there are at least, I assume that's around 30 Dragoons inside of Toki's base. And these are all the Dragoons that TopToon had left. Which is 4 Dragoons and a single Zealot, and there was a Reaver here, but he didn't have any money to produce any more Scarabs with the Reaver. And Toki manages that pretty well. And I think that all happened because of, I think, a better economic start. Like going for the 2 Nexus, only mining from a single gas. Whereas TopToon was mining from 2 gases from the very start. So let me find that little timing where he had 2 gases out. Here is still on the single gas. Gonna speed that up a little bit. And he adds the 2nd gas pretty early on. He starts mining from 1 gas. He has a cybernetic core out. Once the cybernetics core finishes, he gets his 2nd gas out. He gets 2nd gas around the time the cybernetics core finishes. He doesn't start his Dragoon range. up until a little bit later. He starts the Dragoons first, then makes the Dragoon range. And this is basically the point where they're both on the exact same psi. But there's only 10 probes mining minerals for TopToon at this point, where Toki has 12 probes mining minerals, but he also, and there's a couple probes on the gas, so we did lose 2 probes mining gas, so he was slowed down on his tech a little bit. But like here in total, Toki already had 14 probes ready to mine gas, because these 2 are going to go to the gas. And this just slowly ramps up. Like if TopToon doesn't do significant damage in the very early phase of the game, that economic advantage for Toki is just going to ramp up really quickly. And he'll have a bigger base, a bigger income, and his ability to build down more cannons inside his base, make more Dragoons, and also have a bigger buffer. And even if he does get hit, he has an extra nexus to recover his economy with. Whereas TopToon has to just rely on a single one. So this build that TopToon did all relies on doing a lot of damage very early on to basically negate that economic advantage that the Protoss gets, that his opponents get, from that added nexus. So I'm not a fan of 2-gate Protoss. TopToon did do it pretty well though, but I'm not a fan of it. And I'm going to look for a replay where Protoss goes for a 3-gateway build instead of a 2-gateway build. I'll just have to find it. I'm not quite sure. I think I saw a replay somewhere, so I might know a player who does it. I'll just go look it up sometime, and it will be uploaded in the future and casted in the future. But until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this game. I even hope you enjoyed the little, the short little review at the end. If you don't like it, let me know, and I'll just stick to doing just the commentating. And I hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.